Oppositeness, the root of all of our problems. The aspect of the gender system that we see most harmful to society is our culture's view of oppositeness, which is placed between men and women. Instead of finding the sameness within the two genders, our culture looks for any differences in individuals within our society, then exploits these disparities, which negatively impacts both genders. This idea of oppositeness begins immediately after birth, as the doctors declare the baby a boy or a girl. By doing this, doctors emphasize differences, which is odd because all genitals originate from the same structure. Assigning sex at birth constrains individuals as they are expected to follow gender norms. This shows that doctors conflate the concept of sex and gender into the same entity, while also reproducing gender differences. Oppositeness continues into childhood and is prevalent in preschools. Often unknowingly, teachers gender kids through a hidden curriculum which encourages differences between boys and girls. This form of socialization includes dressing up, controlling voices, verbal and physical instructions regarding children's bodies, relaxed or formal behaviors, and physical interactions among children. Specific differences in these areas between boys and girls are obvious. Girls are encouraged to be proper, control their voices, and teachers reinforce with positive physical interaction. Boys are rarely told to be quiet, allowed to do more physical play, and were reprimanded in negative ways. These varying practices have been normalized throughout our society, which explains how gender shaping starts early. Due to this, gender differences come to seem natural and continue throughout life.
There are multiple ways in which gender stereotypes shape men from childhood. Specifically, they are expected to be seen as inherently more violent and only allowed to express anger. These stereotypes result in a feeling and understanding that men are more powerful than women. From this, many women fear men in mental, physical, and sexual aspects because women are supposedly the opposite. A clear repercussion from this is that men are seen as having perceived dangerousness and that rape is almost expected from them. The idea that men and women are opposites clearly portrays itself through this perception of men as being dangerous penetrators and women as being vulnerably penetrable. This perception puts women below men, which defines and exaggerates differences. Women are seen as vulnerable due to what they are being taught from a young age to be quiet and listen. As adults, women continue to be invisible, to act proper, and allow others to control them. Women are seen to be decorative objects. They are meant to look pretty and are only wanted when men in their lives need them. Not only are they objects, but women are taught to hold back their potential in order to allow men to rise in power. As men rise to powerful positions, women stay in the category of weak, which negatively impacts their opportunity within all aspects of life. The most prominent way that oppositeness negatively impacts opportunity is in the workplace. Inequality is prominently seen here as men and women are expected to do gender in opposite ways, causing occupational segregation. Men are doctors and engineers, women are nurses and secretaries. Further segregation occurs when race is involved. Due to this intersection, women of color must do both invisible work specific to women, but also dirty, unskilled work specific to people of color. Both of the beliefs above are rooted in the idea that certain groups seem inherently better at things and therefore should stick to those. Since men and women are perceived as opposite, it's thought that their careers should not coincide with which creates unequal opportunities.
In order to fix the problem of viewing men and women as opposite, we need to change some of the structures in our culture. First, we must know that as individuals, the social structure of society is a maze that we navigate through. A structure is made up of social institutions that influence our every decision, and overall end up shaping the idea of oppositeness. In order to better this, we need to find ways to alter some of these institutions. The main structure that should be changed is social norms. Such social norms surrounding men and women throughout their lifetime forces them into separate categories. These social norms are spread through many aspects of society, like media, the hidden curriculum, medical doctors who practice assigning sex without regards to gender, and the long-standing beliefs that a majority of our culture holds. To break the cycle of presumed oppositeness, men and women should not strive to follow norms, but instead should choose for themselves without regard to what society believes is right. If we were able to change these things and use them to our advantage, we could then help to free individuals of their constraints and see how similar men and women are. An example of finding the sameness among men and women is shown outside of our Western culture. If we look to these other societies, we can learn how to implement our solution and how it alleviates the prevailing consequences that coincide with the belief of oppositeness. This has been done in other places by defining people based on their individual abilities and talents, rather than their assigned sex at birth. Men and women in these cultures are seen as equals, but both offer unique contributions to the community. Becoming more aware of the ways in which focusing on oppositeness is exasperated among interactions, we can begin to break down these thought processes and norms. This would result in a more accepting society that offers equal opportunities to all individuals.